死んだは初めて俺に伝えている。
絶望の匂いだ。
面白いこと見せようか。ほら、こんなに家賃が多すぎて。
お父さん。
あかん。
ドナルド君はまだ死ぬ時じゃないでしょ。
アメリカ万歳。ファイト。
絶対負けないよ。
何度スライドまで。
出ろ。だってまだサンキュー言ってないでしょ。一回も言ってください。
おい、仲良くしてね。この世界傷ついていけるかな。昔グレートだった大きにまたグレートになるかな。あのさ、有名人なら誰かのマンコ掴んでいいさ。そう言い放せるで。
What's going on, everyone? Welcome into CobraCast 199. I am your host, Jeremy Prime, Mage IDOT of the 199. Happy to see all of you here today on a Tuesday. And there's a lot to talk about because Elon Musk is making a lot of waves right now. And it is creating a hell of a discussion online, no doubt about it. Peter Sharon for 5 says, hail the 199, hail the snake pit, and hail Jeremy. Thank you. Mad Max says, Jeremy, thanks for the Why Are You Gay clip. I was dying laughing at work. Absolutely. I saw this comment right here, and I highlighted several. Mark says, if Jeremy ever reads one of my comments, that would be cool. There you go, Mark. I saw people saying, you need a super chat. No, you don't. Obviously, I'm going to read super chats, but I read the chat as well. So thank you, Mark. And he says, hail to you. And he says, what's nice about this chat is a lot of good people on it. There we go. And then Curly Q Link says, he read one of mine too, but no shout out. So there you go. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. And yeah, I appreciate all of the people here in the chat. You guys are awesome. This is the best chat on the internet, and it's not even close. So thank you guys for the support, and thank you for being here. And all the comments, you know, I know everybody's confused on the crowns. I am too. I have no idea what the hell the crown's supposed to mean. But let's see where we're at here. Okay, so today is a very interesting day because I don't know what to make of this. Now, what I do know what's going to happen is that the media is going to run with this and twist this and manipulate this into whatever narrative they want. I personally, I'm not sure what the play is at this point in time. And I'm going to pull up Elon Musk's Twitter account really quick here. So Elon has had some things to say today. And we're just going ahead and start right here. He says, I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it. This is causing a massive, massive reaction across the board. And I really don't know. I don't know what to make of it, to be honest. He then followed up with it and says it will massively increase the already gigantic budget deficit to $2.5 trillion and burden American citizens with crushingly unsustainable debt. Now, let's just say he's not wrong, but there's two sides to the coin because Trump is good at getting things done and making concessions where he needs to make concessions in order to get across the legislation that he wants. This is Trump's big, beautiful bill. So the way that this has to be approached is this is Elon Musk directly going against President Trump's agenda. That's the way that this has to be looked at. Now, that doesn't mean that there's a rift between them. That doesn't mean that you know, they hate each other, all of that. You know, there was another tweet from Elon. Let me see if I can find it right here. So this tweet says, the media is reporting fake news again. Trump, Elon, and Doge. Friends who are on X always ask, is this true or fake news? And then Elon retweeted and says, don't even read the legacy media. It's just noise and propaganda. I stopped long ago. Legacy News attempts to answer the question, what's the worst thing on earth today? That is sure to make you sad. So I'm really not sure, what to make of what Elon's approach is here. Now, White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked about this in particular, this comment, and I will pull that up right here. And I'll be honest, she doesn't sound happy about having to answer this question. Now, I think she was caught off guard because I think it happened in real time. Let me see right here. So here is her being asked about it in real time. Here we go.
And something that just crossed Caroline, how mad do you think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk said, I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it.
Look, the president on this bill, it doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it.
Yeah,
Cameron.
thank you.
So there you go. So I do think that probably caught her off guard a little bit because that tweet happened in real time. It really doesn't matter. That's her job. So I think that Elon is right. And I think that Trump is probably, I think they're both right from their own perspective. I think the difference is that you're dealing with the two most influential and powerful people in the world for different reasons, obviously. Donald Trump is the president. Elon Musk is Elon Musk. So these two having a big difference of opinion over this, it's going to create shockwaves within the media. It's going to make people start to choose sides. I'm not choosing. If I'm forced to choose, I'm going to side with Trump, but I'm not siding to pick a side specifically because Elon Musk literally saved potentially this country and saved this culture with his purchase of Twitter. I've said that many times. I also do not think that President Trump would have been reelected in 2024 if it was not for Elon Musk. But Elon Musk is Elon Musk, and he has his own ideas and his own agendas in place. And you have Trump, who has learned the system over the course of the last 8 to 10 years in politics. And there's probably more to this. And if you look at that bill, and I've tried to read through it, there's a lot of fat, and which is, Elon calling it pork. There's a lot, but this happens to all of these bills. So it should be different right now, and it's not. So we're going to have to see how this all plays out. It is very interesting, to say the least. Einstein 199 for $1. Thank you. Eric K says, if Jeremy respected the mods, that would be cool. No, why would I do that? Socrates Magot says, Congress should have their pay suspended until 2027. That I agree with. Sugar Wiener says, Jeremy does not like me like Miki does. Einstein 199 says, Anna Paulina is upset also. Eric Daughtry. Or how do you say his name? Doherty? Let me go to his Twitter account really quick and see. Let's see what Anna Paulina Luna. Here we go. Anna Paulina Luna, who is smoking hot. Fume says the House Rules Committee and House leadership have decided to not bring anything to the floor to codify President Trump's executive orders or Doge. Half the reason that the GOP even took the majority is because of Trump and Elon, and now you guys are too scared to codify. There we go. So there's that. Great personality. Absolutely. I got to say, man, I'm ready to hear from President Trump. Now I have True Social opened just to see if Trump has said anything. Now he has the last few things that Trump has said on True Social. He's calling out Rand Paul. Really, really not happy with Rand Paul. And he's also, so that was 14 hours ago. So hang on, what is this? A biological male competed in California girls state finals, winning big, despite the fact that they were warned by me not to do so. As Governor Gavin Newsom fully understands, large-scale fines will be imposed. I didn't even see this yesterday. But yeah, so here he is calling out Rand Paul for not supporting it. He's also mad at Thomas Massey, which he's constantly mad at both of those guys. So that's not a surprise at all. This is pretty messy right now. Pretty messy indeed. So got that one. Okay, all caught up. So thank you guys for being here on this Tuesday. And we do have Tuesday night's main event, so there will not be a later CobraCast because I will be on Tuesday night's main event. And then tomorrow, obviously, I have the big Nintendo Switch 2 release, so I'll be focusing on that. So it's going to be a very, very, very busy time. Now, we did get the news that the Trump White House is investigating the Biden-era pardons over his auto pen. So let's hear this one really quick.
And that the Department of Justice is investigating the competency of former President Joe Biden, specifically when he issued pardons during the final days of his presidency, as well as the use of his auto pen in that endeavor. Now, Fox News has been told that the Justice Department pardon attorney, his name's Ed Martin, is reviewing a list of Biden-era pardons, and it is unclear what individual pardons are being reviewed by Martin's office. Here's what we do know. Back in December, Biden was criticized for commuting sentences for 37 of 40 federal inmates on death row. He also issued a preemptive pardon of his son, Hunter. Then in January, it was Inauguration Day, actually. Biden granted pardons to more members of his family, to General Mark Milley, to Dr. Anthony Fauci, Liz Cheney, and several other January 6th committee members. Now, Professor Yu, Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 gives the president the power to pardon. And even Ed Martin, who is allegedly conducting this investigation, has said that's a plenary presidential power.
You caused me to pull this baby out and take a look at some things. Nice. I hear it's free.
Yes.
Look, I wouldn't trust these Biden aides with DocuSign. Don't even ever respond to a DocuSign from these guys, not to mention the auto pen. But what this reminds us is the president makes a lot of important constitutional decisions, the pardon power, signing legislation. The only place the Constitution requires him to actually sign it is a bill. So all these other decisions, appointing ambassadors, issuing pardons, what's important is not did he sign it, but did President Biden make a conscious decision? And did anyone record it? So I think that actually makes it worse for the Biden aides and makes it even more compelling that we should have an investigation. Because one thing we'd say is, can Biden name any of these cop killers? Can he name any of the child murderers that he granted pardons to? Does he remember any of their names?
If they are able to prove this, do you know how big of a shift this will be from the Biden era? Like, this will be absolutely insane if they're able to prove this. And we know that this is the case. And I think I heard, I think Tim Pool was talking about it. And I did agree with what Tim was saying, where, you know, from my perspective, I figured it might be like a DocuSign or some shit like that. But like, apparently it's like a legitimate auto pen, that's able to mimic Joe Biden's signature. That's apparently what's at store here. That's insane.
Did any aide actually write down the names when he made the decision? If they can't show that, then what worries me is that these aides seized presidential power, are committing forgery, committing abuse of power. They should either be prosecuted by the Justice Department, and more importantly, Congress should have hearings, should have its own special counsel to figure out, do we need to have a different body rather than the cabinet decide whether a president has become incompetent and needs to be replaced?
So as you noted, it's not so much the use of the auto pen, it's did he make a decision with specificity for which that auto pen was used? Quick question, though, on that congressional investigation. The subpoenas went out, the voluntary kind letters, I call them, went out May 22nd requesting interviews. It's been more than a week. It's been almost 2 weeks. There have not been subpoenas, and that's in House Oversight Committee. Is there a case to be made for having a special congressional committee? Because 1 year from this month, the January 6th committee had done 1,000 depositions and interviews. So far, we have done 0 in this Congress.
I didn't know that, but that shows you the kind of urgency you could get if you had a full congressional special committee like Watergate, like Iran-Contra, and like January 6th, with the power of subpoena. If people don't show up and do the interviews, if they lie to the committee, then the Justice Department can and should throw them in jail. And that will get people off their butts and showing it.
Dude, so I just pulled up a random like Biden gaffes. And I mean, this guy hasn't been here for a long time. Like, this guy hasn't been here for a long time.
During opening speeches, the leader of the free world was caught dozing off.
Everybody remembers this one. Everybody remembers this one right here.
And while making small talk with the Duchess of Cornwall at the COP26 summit, Sleepy Joe produced his own emissions right in front of royalty.
Joe Biden apparently broke.
No.
Wind in front of Camilla Parker Bowles. That's got to be the end of his presidency, surely.
Camilla's reportedly described the incident as long, loud, and impossible to ignore. It's not the first time Biden's had a bungle. His first presidential press conference in March was somewhat puzzling.
If it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway, we're going to get a lot done.
Not even a binder of notes could help America's commander-in-chief get back on track.
Hang on. Sorry. Oh, sing me. It's Kim.
And during the historic AUKUS announcement in September, Biden struggled to remember who he was partnering with.
I want to thank that fellow down under. Thank you very much, pal. Appreciate it, Mr. Prime Minister. I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts.
Graduation day for Colorado's Air Force cadets, but it was the US president coming in for a hard landing. The 80-year-old scooped up by naval and security officers, Joe Biden back on his feet, pointing at the culprit, a sandbag on stage. Quickly given the all clear by a White House spokesperson.
Mr. President!
The image not helping America's oldest ever president as he ramps up for a second term.
This is not good. It's not anything that the White House or his campaign wants.
The online pylon to be expected. What wasn't? This from his fiercest critic.
He actually fell down? Well, I hope he wasn't hurt.
Trump at 76 has had his own near public stumbles, and this isn't the first for Biden, who spent much of this term defending his record against claims he's too old for another tilt. If he runs, wins.
Has Trump had near public stumbles? Because I don't remember that. When has Trump had near public stumbles? Or, you know, like in terms of like trying to like fall. I haven't seen anything like that.
And serves a full term, Joe Biden will be 86 years old when he leaves office.
It's a matter of, can you do the job? And I believe I can do the job.
And he intends to keep going, arriving home tonight, dancing off any questions of fitness.
Ask one last question. Have you had any talks with Senate Republicans who are threatening this administration with not considering the immigration legislation that was passed in the House until the situation at the border has been resolved?
No, because I know they have to posture for a while. They sort of got to get out of their system. This is a... but I'm ready to work with any Republican who wants to help solve the problem or make the situation better. But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Wow.
If you get any questionable calls, please tell us by going to report fraud, DOTFTC. .gov. Where I come from, you don't get far unless you ask. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other guy. Give me a look, though, okay? If you could do anything at all, Joe, what would you do? I said I'd cure cancer. They looked at me like, why cancer? Because no one thinks we can. That's why, and we can. We'd end cancer as we know it.
The Director General of the International Labor Organization.
This is an historical.
He almost knocked the flag over, and then he runs.
That's why, and we can. We'd end cancer as we know it.
The Director General of the International Labor Organization.
This is an historical moment for Brazil.
What is he
and for the
doing?
U.S. President Biden, can you hear me? You can? Yes, good. And so.
It's a good question. Number one, I was a Democratic caucus. You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
Such a classic clip, dude.
Face pony soldier. You said you were to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you. You know, the rapidly rising I don't know. Donald Trump is reelected.
Donald
Freudian slip.
Thank you, guys.
Will you take questions on inflation then?
Let's move. Thank you. Thank you
Do you
all.
think inflation is a political liability?
That's a great answer. More inflation. What a stupid son of a bitch.
We should challenge students in these schools to have advanced placement programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids.
Holy shit. What a line.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it, but think how we think about it. Their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains. $1.9 trillion relief so far. They're going to be getting checks in the mail that are consequential this week for childcare. I wrote the bill on the environment. Why would I not be for it?
America.
Holy hell, bro. Some of these clips that I just had forgotten about or whatever. Wow.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
He keeps holding her.
It's an honor to be here to welcome Prime Minister Albanese and Prime Minister Sunak.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Boris. And I want to thank that fellow down under. Thank you very much, pal. Appreciate it, Mr. Prime Minister.
Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate
It's great to have
it.
you. It's
Thank
great
you.
to have
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. It's a very exciting day around here. We'll have reaction and.
You're not supposed to leave right then. He had to go poop. He had to go poop.
Down under. Thank you very much, pal. Appreciate it, Mr. Prime Minister.
Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate
It's great to have you. It's
Thank
great
you.
to have
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. It's a very exciting day around here. We'll have reaction and analysis to everything we just heard.
Let's look at America now. Donald Trump has launched a fresh attack on Joe Biden overnight. He's questioned the Democratic candidate's fitness for office after he appeared to forget the president's name during a virtual campaign event.
What kind of country we're going to be? 4 more years of Georgia.
never seen this clip. I've never seen this one. Holy shit, man. What a fucking disaster. So that brings us back to this clip right here and Biden's competency for his interim pardons. Darth Manic for 20 says, hey, Bay J, I just want you to know you're looking good this Pride Month. You really represent all of us figs so well. Thank you, Daddy. P.S. You can't hide behind it, Sweeney. This shit is painful for me to do. At least it was a $20 super chat. So at least it was a 20. So it wasn't as painful for me as it was for you to type it out. John freaking Murdoch for 50 says, I'm amazed we survived 4 years of Joe Biden. We did survive, didn't we? Maybe. I don't know, though. Thank you, John. Appreciate you, brother. Let's continue on hearing what they say about Biden's competency.
Up in Congress. And why should these Biden aides even need a subpoena? They should be out in public saying, I did not commit forgery. I did not take advantage of, as Robert Hur said, a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory to abuse the power of the United States government. But they're not going to show up on their own, so they need to have a subpoena to force them.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, Emily, I want to play for you. This is Ed Martin, who's doing the investigation. Here are his thoughts on the pardon power.
No one, I think, with the standard of sort of reasonableness, thinks that what Joe Biden did at the end of his term was particularly reasonable. Now, I happen to think the pardon power is plenary. If you use the auto pen for a pardon power, I don't think that that's necessarily a problem. But the question is, how did this happen? Just like, by the way, many people said, well, wait, there's 1,500 January 6 pardons. How did that happen? These are big moments, and so they have to be able to withstand scrutiny. And I do think that the Biden pardons need some scrutiny.
So he's well aware of the nuances of the law, and his investigation seems to be quite detailed.
Yeah, and look what he's saying, plenary, meaning absolute. But the point is that it's not without scrutiny, to your point. And I think what's so alarming, first of all, I note that the mainstream media, again, called this unfounded. But the reality is that it's not so simple as the auto pen use. The point is the consciousness. And it was the president himself, Biden, who said he had no idea about one of the policies about which an auto pen was alleged to have been used. At one point,
he did not know. He did not know what they were doing. He was not mentally capable enough to even make these decisions. People, probably Jill Biden and others, were certainly Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama. These are the people that were making the decisions in the White House. It was not Joe Biden.
We know that he was verified out of the country. And so the issue becomes essentially like, OK, fine, if you delegate, that's one thing. But if it was someone else usurping presidential and executive authority, well, then that's a whole host of other issues. And it is frightening. And I note that if
could you imagine if it gets proven that Hunter Biden was involved in any of these decisions? Could you imagine how big of a scandal that would be if crackhead Hunter Biden was involved in presidential decisions because his father had no idea where he was? So you had the family members basically taking full advantage of their dad who had no idea where he was. Could you imagine if Hunter Biden was at the forefront of that? Holy crap. Doc Hollywood says, here's to winning with Trump. Thank you, Doc Hollywood, for the $50 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. Hail to you. Let's continue.
If the president has a call, for example, with a foreign leader or whatever, what is it, 4 different versions? There's always a note taker. Everything is recorded. So for this plenary absolute power, for something that is so infinitely impactful with no room for the courts to intervene at all, then shouldn't there then be a record of that consciousness, of that thought process, right? right? For wills, we have to prove it up, down, and sideways. So why not, for this absolute executive authority, should we not rest assured that indeed it was the president and not his whole host of children that were around him, and all of a sudden veering from all of his public comments about criminal justice, for example, up until then, although we know that he's a definite sort of cabal family man for sure.
And Kennedy, this is why this matters. It's not so much, the Liz Cheney's and Mark Milley's and the political part of this. It's this. This is why this matters to me. Look at this. Louisiana child killer spared by Biden faces death penalty again on the state level after outrageous commutation. He killed children. And then you see another one down there, a serial killer, Jorge Torres, sentenced to several years for 2005 murder of 2 girls. These were child killers who were let out with pardons. And we need to know the consciousness of the president.
Well, yeah, and if this were something that Joe Biden ran on, then it might make sense with his political brand, but it really wasn't necessarily. Trump was more of a criminal justice president during his first term than Biden was during his 4 years. And, it's scary that with that absolute power, if someone is incapacitated, then that power can be corrupted. And that can put people at danger, obviously, if
Yeah, I mean, it's so far-fetched to believe that if Joe Biden, well, let's not say if Joe Biden, because Joe Biden did not know where he was most of the time. That's pretty much a fact at this point in time. So if we know that Joe Biden was completely out of his mind and had little idea as to what was going on a day-to-day basis, is it far-fetched to believe that crackhead Hunter Biden would have taken full advantage of that situation? Is it far-fetched to believe that Dr. Jill Biden would have taken full advantage of that situation? No, it's not. It's not far-fetched at all. And as a matter of fact, it makes perfect sense. Now, again, you look at President Trump's answer when he was asked about if Jill Biden should be brought in during the investigation, and he was very careful about that answer because as much as people say that President Trump is, unhinged and, he's, he just will fire off at all. No, he thinks about the things that he says. The things that Trump says and does, he has strategy involved with it. So when he answered the question about Jill Biden, we know that President Trump believes that Jill Biden was fully involved in this. But as him, the sitting president of the United States, for him to make that direct accusation about a former first lady, not only would that put his family in harm's way, but it would put them in harm's way for well beyond after he's gone. He knows that. He knows that. So his answer made a lot of sense from that perspective.
These people go out and reoffend, and the ability to change people's lives utterly deserves some accountability. So for everyone who's sitting on the bench during this discussion on the left, you're not going to have a say at the end of the Trump presidency in 2028 when you think that the very same scrutiny should be applied to him and his family and whoever else receives pardons and commutations. Either we fix the whole system and we have accountability for every president, or you can shut the hell up in 3 years when your panties are going to be in a bundle because you're going to be preemptively mad at whatever President Trump does at that time with the power that the left has deemed absolute.
And Kaylee, beyond just the pardon power, I mean, there's questions for immigration. There's a senior Biden official who told Alex Thompson, hey, there was an immigration plan. Biden said shut down the border. Where did that plan go? What a troubling question. Where did it go and who got rid of that plan?
Well, and that's why the investigation into the auto pen is so important, because even if the commutations and the pardons are ultimately held up as legal, investigating the use of the auto pen is going to maybe get us some names of the officials in the White House who were actually making decisions on Biden's behalf.
I will say this. If this investigation produces nothing, I think you're going to start to see MAGA people get really frustrated at that point in time because, I mean, even I'm sick and tired of the word investigation being thrown around. When's the last time a Washington government investigation produced actual results? You know what I mean? Like, are we actually going to see some results come from this or what? People are kind of getting fed up with that.
And that's so important, even from a political perspective. I mean, as voters, we should be deeply concerned that there is a political party in the United States right now that has no problem at all with installing what was essentially a figurehead that it could control with its puppet strings. And this is a pattern of behavior for the Democratic Party. Think about the way that they treated Kamala Harris as well. They installed her as the backup candidate after Biden dropped out without a single Democratic primary voter weighing in on that decision. And does anyone actually think that Kamala Harris would have been making the decisions had she won in November? Of course not. She was yet another puppet. So even if you're a Democrat, you should be concerned at the direction that your party is taking. Do you really want to be a part of a party that's going to treat you like that as well?
I don't think they think that far ahead. Unfortunately, these clowns don't. Red Mage for 20 says, off topic, I forgot about Kennedy for a long time, since way back when she was on MTV as a VJ. Oh, yeah, I remember Kennedy back then. Yeah, absolutely. She's, I guess she's been on Fox News for several years now. So I think the time for talk is over. And I think that if the Trump DOJ, which it's obviously the Trump DOJ, investigating this Biden pardon situation, if it turns out to be nothing, I think a lot of people, a lot of hardcore MAGA people are going to lose faith in the situation and say, what's the point? We're tired of investigations. We want to see results. We want to see results. And that it's a very slippery slope that they're on right now. Very slippery slope. Mr. Donaldson says, Jeremy loves big, beautiful pork swords. John Platt says, hail to D-Day Cobra Commander and the mods and the chats. Arrest the whole corrupt Democratic Party and the Joe Biden Mafia crime family for crimes against America. Lord Voldemort says, libertarians like Rand Paul are grandstanding figs. I actually have a video that Rand Paul tweeted out that I think we're going to watch. What the fuck did I do with it? I thought I had that video up. We have, I'll read it. Let me read a few more, and then we got a couple more stories to talk about, though. Lying Dogface Pony Soldier with it. Get the membership right on cue. Spirian with the 199 super sticker. Patriotic Eagle says 81 million votes, supposedly, by the way. I know. Candy T says, whispers like Biden. Today is my birthday. Happy birthday, Candy T. Whole chat's about to wish you a happy birthday now. Rob says, Joe is not only in scandal. Maxine Waters was just found guilty in election law violations, bribery, and other words. $68,000 fine. Prison on the way? Probably not, unfortunately. Probably not. Patriotic Eagle says, throwing this out there for the community, read the book called Flight. It talks about the 2024 election cycle, and it's wild. Hail the 199, baby. The book called Flight. There we go. Thank you. Steven says, Trump, good cop, Zelensky, bad cop routine. Putin must agree to amicable terms. Russia quietly lost biggest nuke submarine and Poseidon nuke with bombers. Look, Trump's got a lot of complicated stuff going on right now with the Ukraine, Russia situation. You've got the Middle East going on. You've got problems here in America he's trying to clean up. He's got a lot of moving parts right now. You got the tariff stuff. Einstein 199 says, we need best of John Kennedy. I will keep that in mind for a future CobraCast. Magnum Norris says, I need to see some prosecutions after what happened in 2020. I agree completely. I agree. So yesterday, this is a positive sign. I know a lot of people are hit or miss on Laura Loomer, but Laura Loomer met with VP JD Vance this morning at the White House. She did not, according to reports, she didn't meet with Trump. She's met with Trump a couple months ago, and she got results. So Laura Loomer met with JD Vance. I personally think that's a good move. I like Laura Loomer. I know she's, she can take some very kind of out there approaches sometimes, but she means well. She loves President Trump. She's loyal to President Trump, and she will absolutely call out people within his administration. So I'm glad that she has the president and the vice president's ear. I think that's a positive thing. So I'm 100% okay with that. So we'll see how that goes. I just saw this, that Major League Baseball has fixed their profile picture. So they did have the pride bullshit, but I don't know. I don't know if this was because of the backlash or whatever. We'll while I think it's a good thing that they've changed it, the fact that they put it with the pride flag in the first place is bullshit. And they should definitely be held accountable for that. So everybody's tired of this crap. Everybody. So they should not get any credit for that because they put themselves in that position. I do want to hear what Rand Paul has to say because Elon Musk tweeted out that I talked about at the beginning of the show. Elon Musk tweeted out that, he really is fed up with this bill. He called it, he was very aggressive with it. And Rand Paul quote tweeted him, as did Thomas Massey, and then Elon retweeted them. So we've got some interesting things at play right now. Let's listen to what Rand has to say here.
In a separate post, Trump said there's a false narrative about spending in this bill. He said it is, quote, single biggest spending cut in history by far. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul joins me now. Mr. Senator, I know you want more spending cuts included in the bill. Can you tell us what specifically you'd want to cut?
Yeah, it's even more than that. The biggest objection I have to the bill is adding $5 trillion to the debt ceiling. I'm actually very supportive of the tax cuts. I don't accept the CBO notion that the tax cuts will lead to deficits. The reason I believe there'll be more deficits is they're raising the debt ceiling $5 trillion. We know that this year, most of the Republicans, not me, voted to continue the Biden spending levels in March. So we're going to go through September of this year, and the deficit for this year is going to be over $2 trillion. If you're borrowing $5 trillion, that makes me think you're going to add over $2 trillion, maybe $2.8 trillion next year. So it doesn't show me that you've turned around. If you look at the spending cuts, it's complicated because it's $1.5 trillion. It sounds like this enormous number, but it's over 10 years, so it's $150 billion a year. They're also increasing spending for the military and for the border, $300 billion. That's actually more than all the DOGE cuts that we've found so far. So something doesn't really add up here. And I can't be on record as being one who supports increasing the debt by $5 trillion. I think that's irresponsible. The bond markets are already starting to show that they're skittish over this. Yeah. We got interest rates of over 5% on the 10-year bond. There are real problems we face as a country, and we can't just blithely go on the way we have in the past.
Would you offer any kind of compromise? You don't want to raise the debt ceiling by $5 trillion. Would you okay it for an extra $2 trillion or $3 trillion? I mean, would you compromise?
I have offered a compromise, and the compromise I offered was in the form of an amendment recently, and I'd give them 3 months. And everybody says, oh, it's not long enough. Well, the whole purpose is to make them come back in 3 months and say, what have you done for the spending? Show me where you've cut spending.
I mean, I don't think that Rand Paul's stance here is completely unrealistic at all. It actually sounds very level-headed and makes a lot of sense. He actually is giving some substance to back up some of his claims, which I can appreciate.
Because in 3 months' time, we'll be rolling up on the deadline, and they'll be presenting more spending again. So in 3 months, and 3 months is a lot of money, Stuart. It's $500 billion for 3 months. I'd do it for 3 months. I wouldn't default. I'd do it for 3 months, and I'd say, show me now what you have done, because the history of this town is people making false promises. In fact, everybody in leadership on the Republican side is saying, oh, wait till after the 26 elections. We just need one more election. You remember when they said that about Obamacare? Elect us and we'll get rid of Obamacare. And they flailed away and never did it. It's the same way with spending cuts. They say wait till 2026 or 2027 and we'll have spending cuts. I'm not waiting, and I'm not voting for $5 trillion in debt to see if they will keep their promises.
How much support do you have in the Senate? Can you muster 3, 4, 5, 6 votes for your position?
I think there are 4 people who are skittish about the spending levels. Some of them are skittish about the $5 trillion. I think I'm the most vocal on all fronts, but there are more starting to come to this realization. I think looking at the 10-year and looking at the bond sales being anemic, people not really wanting to buy the government debt, the ratio of purchase to buy orders, bid to buy orders has gone down. So I do think that there is some alarm growing. I think what the real thing's going to happen, and we won't know this, I think, before the bill comes due, but second quarter growth. If second quarter growth is weak, I think there's going to be a generalized freak out about these tariffs and a generalized freak out about not doing anything about spending or debt.
What would happen if your measure is accepted and you give them 3 months worth of debt raising, and you come to the end of the 3 months and you still don't have an agreement on how much more spending to cut, do we run out of money? Do we shut the government down again? Does that happen?
No, you end up having another discussion.
I do agree with this right here in terms of Trump should be working with people like Rand and not Lindsey Graham. I'm not the biggest fan of Rand Paul, but if I'm listening to what he's saying right here, because I tend to believe people like Rand Paul and Thomas Massey more often than not are just trying to be contrarian more often than not, because they just want to oppose every fucking thing in the world. But when it comes to this specifically, it does sound like that Rand has some level-headed points. And look, if I get that Trump is playing a different game sometimes, but if you're going to be cozied up to somebody like Lindsey Graham, then you should absolutely be able to sit down and have a conversation with somebody like Rand Paul and Thomas Massey. That's all I'm saying. If you can be cozied up to a piece of shit like Lindsey Graham, because Lindsey Graham is a legitimate piece of shit. Yeah, Rand Paul and Thomas Massey might be grandstanders, but they're not literal pieces of shit like Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham might as well just be a far left-wing Democrat at this point in time. He's a warmonger and he's a piece of shit. So my point being is that if you're going to set a standard that you're willing to have conversations with a piece of shit like Lindsey Graham, then you should also be willing to have conversations with people like Rand Paul and Thomas Massey to try to get this thing done.
Discussion over how long you're going to extend the debt ceiling for. And it's funny, people think I won't vote to raise the debt ceiling. I already introduced an amendment to increase it $500 billion. My penny plan, which balances in 5 years, borrows money for 5 years. So I'm willing to borrow money as long as you're willing to change your habits and show that you're willing to have spending reform, but they have to have it. But in the past, what has happened when they haven't reformed, the Democrats all vote for it and the big government Republicans. In fact, this will be the first time conservative Republicans have actually voted for a debt ceiling, and it'll be the largest increase in our debt ceiling in our history. And I think it's a mistake because once conservative Republicans vote for this, there is no conservative opposition. They will own it. The debt will be owned by the Republicans. It's no more pointing fingers at the Democrats and saying, oh, they're the big spenders. It'll be all on Republican shoulders. And I'm not going to be one of the Republicans who's going to be responsible for this debt. I'm going to continue to be a voice saying we need to cut spending.
Senator Rand Paul, thanks so much for being with us this morning. We appreciate it very much, sir. Come see us again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
All right, so there you go. So there's that. Now, again, we'll circle back to Elon Musk tweeted this out today. I'm sorry, but I can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know who you did wrong. You know it. And Elon has been on one today. He's definitely been on one today. And he is currently retweeting people like Rand Paul and Thomas Massey, showing that he's more on their side than Trump's side at this point. He says it will massively increase the already gigantic budget deficit to $2.5 trillion and burden American citizens with crushingly unsustainable debt. Now, as I've said, if you're going to tell me I have to choose between Elon and Trump, there's no discussion to be had. I'm taking Trump all day, every day. But I'm not angry at Elon because Elon is the reason that we have what we have right now and what he did to get us in this position. So him and Trump having a disagreement is perfectly fine with me. I think that more often than not, I think that there is sometimes with Trump, I think that there's sometimes with him, it's kind of like, and I'll make an analogy of George Lucas and the prequels. George Lucas was surrounded by a bunch of yes men with the prequels. So there were little things that maybe someone could have stepped up and say, George, maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe we should have a little less Jar Jar. You know, maybe we should do this differently, that differently. And there was no one around George that was willing to challenge him. And I feel like that's the same case with Trump in a lot of ways, as he has a lot of yes men around him at times. It's good that Elon is willing to speak up, and clearly him and Trump have a good relationship. So hopefully Trump will be willing to listen to that. I don't know, but we shall see. Time will tell. But that's the latest on that one. Got another clip here. I saw that that Peter Doocy clip where he asked her about the Elon tweet, but prior to that, there was actually some good substance right here for everything. So right here, listen to what he says in this clip.
Looks different. It looks authentic. In fact, if you look at the last name, it almost looks like the president was having a hard time spelling his last name there. Is this White House of the opinion that the only pardon that would count is one that the president signed himself?
It's very interesting. Very interesting props. If you want to bring them to my office later so I can take a closer look, I would like to do that. The president is making a good point when he discusses the usage of the auto pen. Who was running the country for the past 4 years? Perhaps those documents were signed with the auto pen, something that this, I believe the Department of Justice is looking into. As you saw, Ed Martin made an announcement at the Department of Justice this morning to launch an investigation because the American people deserve answers.
Is there any concern that this president, who won the election on a promise to fix the economy and close the border, that focusing and scrutinizing these Biden pardons is looking into the past instead of looking forward?
I think in comparison to the amount of time this president has spent on securing the border, on fixing our economy, I just read out for you an entire list of economic accomplishments. Look at the border numbers. Look at the time and effort he's divulged into solving the global conflicts abroad. It pales in comparison, but it still, nevertheless, is a very important issue. And it was a huge issue that sent the president back to this White House. The Americans saw with their own eyes a mentally incompetent president, and they want answers for that, and the president believes they should have them.
And something that just crossed, Caroline, how mad do you think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it."
Look, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it. Cameron.
So there you go. I got to say, Ducey getting that final question in, this is a pro gamer move right here, okay? Because at this point in time, and I want you to look at this, okay? So he already knows that he just probably saw this tweet as he was asking these other questions, and he knows that she's about to move on from him. He needs to force this question in to get it answered because she's already ready to move on from him. This is a pro gamer move right here. I want you to watch him. He's prepared and he's trying. He's like, I'm going to figure this out.
Make accomplishments. Look at the border numbers. Look at the time and effort he's divulged into solving the global conflicts abroad. It pales in comparison, but it still, nevertheless, is a very important issue. And it was a huge issue that sent the president back to this White House. The Americans saw with their own eyes a mentally incompetent president, and they want answers for that, and the president believes they should have them.
And something that just crossed, Caroline, how mad do you think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending."
As a pro gamer move. So he's great. Peter Ducey's great. Okay, let me see where we're at. We have Nandy says, my company pulled an MLB yesterday with the pride flag. Fuck, it's terrible. And then Nandy says, I agree with Rand on budget and spending. Jose Taco says, Nintendo just shipped my Switch today. Should be here by Thursday. Let's go. I just went to Best Buy and a couple of GameStops here in town, and they told me that they're expecting an insane amount of people. I was like, really? They're like, yeah, it's going to be bad. I was like, all right, I guess that's a good thing. Aaron James says there is a lot more to this bill than money. 2A rights, defunding Planned Parenthood, eliminating mandatory 60-plus vax for newborns. It needs to be passed. That's the thing is, like, this bill, there is a lot. There is so much to it. I've tried to read over some of it. There's just so much in there. Thank you, Aaron James. Appreciate it, man. True Mr. Gentleman says, so sad. This is the last CobraCast. After the Switch 2, we'll never see this fig on the channel again. Either that or Jeremy will do the news while losing at Mario Kart. See you in a year, everyone. True Mr. Gentleman says, chat needs to be corrected on something. Rand repeatedly went to the DOJ during COVID to prosecute Fauci. The problem is Congress has zero judicial power. He can assist, but the DOJ must begin the process. The DOJ was completely compromised. I love the 199, but some of y'all in the chat clearly have never read the Constitution. Rand is not hot air Ted Cruz. I mean, the thing about Rand Paul that rubs me the wrong way is, correct me if I'm wrong, because I always, there's so many moving parts. I recall Rand Paul riding the fence until the absolute last possible second to endorse President Trump in the 2024 presidential campaign. Am I wrong about that? He was like the last prominent person to endorse Trump. And it's because Rand Paul was a coward about it. He was an absolute coward. Wasn't it like the last second? It was the very last second. Or was it after? It might have been even after. But it was like he waited until the single last, and he's like, I know I'm late to this, and but blah, 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 blah. Some people are saying I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'm pretty sure I'm right that Rand Paul drug his feet and finally, who cares? I fucking care. That's why I'm saying it. So you can say who cares? I fucking care. If I didn't care, I wouldn't be talking about it. Endorses Trump. Let me see. Yeah, here it is. Oh, so it was. Look at this. Fuck that. I was even wrong. Rand Paul endorses Trump 3 months after Election Day. 3 months after Election Day. So yeah, even I was wrong. He didn't wait till the last fucking minute. Motherfucker waited 3 months after Election Day. So that's bullshit. Absolutely insane, dude. Pathetic. So that's my view of Rand Paul. Legalize adulthood for a proper 199. Dave Rubin called. He says you never rub him the wrong way and only the right way. That always leads to a Steven Spielberg happy ending LFG. What? What's up, Legalize Adulthood? And then Legalize Adulthood drops 20 gifted memberships. Let's freaking go. You guys know what time it is. I don't have to tell you what time it is. You already know what time it is. And here we go. Boom. Sydney Sweeney, always celebrating the proper 199s. She's always here. Everybody's happy. Everybody's happy.
Should I do it?
Do not come.
Come on, baby. Come on. I'm gonna do it.
Do not come.
I'm gonna come. Beautiful white paint. It's coming down at 10,000 miles an hour. It's coming down at levels of speed that nobody ever even conceived of. Where it's rough. But it's coming, and now it's turned around. It turns around, and it's coming, and it's going to, I said, oh, because you see at that bottom, this section right here, that sucker's, oh.
Somebody over in my locals chat says, so obsessed with people bending the knee to Trump. I like Trump, but I'm not a drone either. That is a fucking retarded comment, what you just made, because it's not about bending the knee to Trump. In fact, Trump is almost irrelevant to my argument. My argument is if the Democrats were allowed to get away with 2020, kiss this fucking country goodbye. That was the point. Once they stole 2020, the only answer was for Trump to get back in office. And if you as a politician in this country don't see how big of a fucking deal that was, it didn't matter if Ron fucking DeSantis won. It didn't matter if Vivek won. It didn't matter if Nikki Haley won. It wouldn't have mattered who fucking won if Trump didn't win 2024. That means the Democrats successfully cheated in 2020 and got away with it. And if Rand Paul can't fucking see that, that's his problem. And that goes into his decision making as to why he doesn't understand the bigger picture. It's not about Trump at that point. It's about the Democrats. Trump just happens to be the focus of the Democrats at all times. So yes, bending the knee to Trump, if that's how you want to formulate, or if that's how you want to break down what I'm saying, go for it. But my point being is that it's about righting the wrongs of 2020. And if the Democrats can fucking cheat the president of the United States out of this office, the one that won the election, by the way, rightfully won that election. And if Trump doesn't get back in office, then we're all fucked. So Rand Paul can sit there and do his little Fox News interviews every fucking day. It doesn't really matter. If DeSantis is in office right now, we're fucked. End of discussion. DeSantis couldn't even fucking stand up to Disney, much less the fucking people that are going after Trump, okay? It's fucking bullshit. And people are so goddamn fucking retarded when it comes to this. I'm not a drone to Trump. I don't give a fuck what you need to prove to yourself. I am not trying to talk to weak-minded people, okay? You don't need to prove that, you know why you feel the need to tell someone that you're not part of the Trump cult? Because you want acceptance from the left that accuses you of being part of the Trump cult. I don't give a fuck what the left thinks about me. I don't give a fuck. Say I'm part of the fucking cult. Doesn't make a shit to me, because you can put a MAGA hat on and have one opinion you agree with Trump, and you can disagree on 99% of issues. But if you're wearing a MAGA hat, they're going to say you're part of the cult. It doesn't fucking matter what they think. Who gives a fuck? This is not about being in a cult, not if you are or aren't in a cult. This is about righting the wrongs of 2020. And if you don't get that, then you're retarded. We'll leave it at that. Sophie says, hail figs. Question, Jeremy in chat. Do you know what the idiom give someone the shovel talk means? Don't fail me. What the fuck? Why are you using words that I never fucking use? Making me sound stupid. Hail to 199, GCA, and the Homies podcast. I've never used that word before. Sophie, chronicling mayhem. Didn't you have your name changed from chronicling mayhem yesterday? Now you're back to Sophie. What the hell are we doing around here? Packy Proton says, okay, a safer game. Save, leave, mock as they need help. Gary Nerdrotic, Chris the Valiant Renegade, choose wisely. What? I'll let the chat entertain that one. Celebrity Jeremy says, MAGA is bigger than Trump. It absolutely is bigger than Trump. And that's something that a lot of people don't really understand. They think that it's like some people, they need other people to think highly of them, even though the people that you want to think highly of you are always going to hate you. The left is always going to hate you. If you even slightly support Donald Trump, you're a Nazi in their eyes. You're a Nazi, and you and your family should be dead. That's how they view it. So even by saying, I support Trump, but I'm not part of the cult, they don't fucking care. They don't care. They don't give a shit. If you support Trump, you're the devil in their mind. You and your entire existence should be wiped off the earth. They don't fucking care. So this is why I go all overboard in my Trump support, because it just pisses them off. Yes, I disagree with Trump on many of issues. Does it matter? No. And it doesn't matter to the left either. They don't care. Chris Gonzalez says, random question, Jay. Do you think that the Star Wars franchise will not be able to succeed because itself cannot escape the Skywalker saga? I mean, I don't think that the Star Wars franchise can succeed because Disney owns it. I don't think that it being intertwined in the Skywalker saga has anything to do with it. I think it's because Disney owns it. What we're seeing right now, like, I mean, look at what's going on with Battlefront 2 right now. I am obsessed with playing Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2 has little to do with, you know, like the Skywalker saga. Yeah, like the campaign, you got Luke Skywalker in there or whatever, but like, again, I prefer the prequel era over the original trilogy era anyway, but I know that still ties into Skywalker. But No, the biggest problem with Star Wars is that Disney owns it. And as long as Disney owns it, it will never be able to move forward. Being tied to the Skywalker saga is definitely an obstacle that you would need to overcome with the Star Wars universe. But currently how it stands right now, Disney owning it is the biggest problem. Zhang the Great says, the donors who run our tax and spend pigs in Congress, we're counting on Trump losing and World War III starting to reset world currency. Yes, I agree. And that's people like Rand Paul. People like Rand Paul were basically assuming that Trump was going to lose and just accepting of that. And that just shows short-sightedness in his perspective. You just expected Trump to lose, and you expected that it was going to be okay, that the Democrats are going to be able to get away with 2020. If the Democrats can successfully hijack an election and get rid of Trump, then what chance do any of us stand at any point in time? Ever. It's Democrats are like children. And if you don't hold them accountable, if they get away with something, they're just going to continue to try to get away with it. Adam Rice says, has your pre-order left the warehouse yet? Mine is from Walmart and they took the money, but hasn't left the facility yet. Does it say preparing? So, I would recommend everybody that has questions about your pre-order, if you go over to a channel named Jake Randall, and I'm sure mods can find his channel. He is an expert on this stuff. He actually has a video from a few days ago, and specifically about Walmart. He has a section in there, and he breaks down everything about your Walmart pre-order. And I even learned some stuff about my pre-order earlier. But I haven't looked at it in a couple days to see. But Adam, if you go to Jake Randall's YouTube channel, he will break it down. He's fantastic at this. He's really good, and he's a good dude. He seems like a good dude. So I would recommend going over there and checking out his channel. But yeah, he's a really good dude. Maximus BT, where my breeds at? Sinestro says, just had soldier surgery. CobraCast and Sydney Sweeney is just the thing I need coming out of anesthesia. Hail the 199. Hail Sydney Sweeney. John Jones says, have you seen Trump's new presidential portrait? Compare it to his first term portrait. He's the hero. He's the hero's journey president. It is a pretty badass picture. It is. John Jones becomes a new member. Thank you. AJ says, I work at retail and we have to use pride stickers. I wanted to say something, but I didn't want to lose my job. Yeah, like I said, I can't even imagine how bad it is these days from that perspective. Packy Proton says, EU showed Star Wars is more than Skywalker's. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that is true. I remember when I worked early on in retail, and I was just a bag boy. This is like when I was 19 years old, whatever it was. And I remember a guy came in, sharp dressed, really kind of like well put together, walks up to me. He's like, hi, my name's so-and-so, and I just would like to introduce myself, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. He's like, if you have a few minutes, I'd like to have a conversation with you. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. You know, pulls me to the side. He's like, so I'm part of the union, and I'd like to express to you about how we can help protect your job and protect your, right as an employee and all this bullshit. And I'm just like, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Cool. I had no idea what the fuck was going on, and he was just talking me up, he's like, it's only going to cost you like X amount of dollars per month, and we can protect your job and all this shit. And like, I was just like, I thought it was cool, like it's my first job. I was like, hell yeah, man. I'll give you guys a cut of my check, all this shit. Yeah. It was about 3 months later, and I realized that motherfucker scammed me. So I got out of the union real quick. But yeah, I was like, I 100% like, I didn't know what the hell's going on. Spirian for a gifted membership. Thank you. Sophie says, had my milestone here. My fault for asking. Alabama, shaking my head. Sophie, you're awesome. Literally everybody that meets Sophie has nothing but good things to say about Sophie. It's one of the few people that I've never heard someone say something bad about. Everybody loves Sophie. That's just it. Everybody loves Sophie. So But thank you, Sophie. Appreciate it. Look at her. Doll. Yeah, that's for real though. That's for real. Now, Elon is still tweeting up a storm today. Let's see. What is this? I count Elon as a good friend, and congressional Republicans appreciate everything he has done to put a spotlight on waste and fraud. Let's hear. Hang on.
Yeah, let me say this. It's very disappointing. Okay, I've come to consider Elon a good friend. He's obviously a very intelligent person, and he's done a lot of great work. With all due respect, my friend Elon is terribly wrong about the one big beautiful bill. Yeah, let me.
Wow. Now that Doge has identified wasteful spending, it is being quantified by the administration and codified by Congress via the recessions process and appropriations process. With all due respect, Elon is simply wrong about the one big beautiful bill. Our legislation comprehensively delivers on every major campaign promise and the America First agenda, while also securing historic savings of more than $1.6 trillion. This is getting really, really interesting right now. Ultimately, the big beautiful bill is Trump's bill. I want to hear from President Trump. I want to hear what Trump has to say. We have nothing new from President Trump. Nothing on True Social. Nothing. So I'm not seeing any updates. Let's see here. There's a lot going on right now. I'm seeing all type of memes. Trump going after Rand Paul, but that was earlier today. Nothing new there. What is this? Jack Posobiec asked Viktor Orban if Joe Biden was really running the U.S. government during his administration.
Prime Minister, we had an issue in the United States recently where we were trying to, in the prior administration, we know who the president is now, but we were trying to get answers from we know who the president is now. I'm thinking European. We know who the president is now, but when we were going to the previous presidency, we were trying to figure out what their theory of government was, and we realized that it wasn't Joe Biden's thinking. In fact, we weren't really sure who the president was when Joe Biden was in office. Do you get the sense that Joe Biden was really running the U.S. government during those years?
We have never saw that. We have never saw that.
Wow.
Any more questions?
I'm confused. There's a lot to unpack here. The first question I have to ask is, why the hell is Jack Posobiec there? But of course, is that Michael Knowles? Is that Gay Rubin? Is that Gay Rubin? Who are these people? Who are these people? I'm very confused by this whole situation right now. Why is Jack Posobiec there? There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack there. I just saw that hit my news feed, so I was like, what the hell is that? Michael Knowles. Who's the hot blonde? What is Timu Obama talking about here? Let's see what Timu's...
Every single ICE agent who's engaged in this aggressive overreach and are trying to hide their identities from the American people will be unsuccessful in doing that. This is America. This is not the Soviet Union. We're not behind the Iron Curtain. This is not the 1930s. And every single one of them, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will of course be identified. That in fact is the law. And we're going to make sure that the American people have the transparency necessary to hold people accountable when they're folks who cross the line here in America.
Is he like thinking about every word that he says in advance? It's really like so you said it. Aaron James said, this dude tries so hard to talk like Obama. That's it right there. That's exactly it. Yes, he is. Where's Aaron James' comment? Right here. And thank you, Legalize Adulthood. You're right about that. But this dude tries so hard to talk like Obama. That's exactly what it is. Because I'm sitting there going like, why does he talk like that? It's because he's trying to talk like Obama.
That's what's going to happen. And as I mentioned earlier, when I spoke to Congressman Nadler about this, our first priorities are always going to be making sure the person who was on the front line is in the best possible place to move forward. That's the case with LaMonica MacGyver, and it is also the case with Congressman Nadler's brave, young, patriotic staffer. And we've got to address those issues first. That's the human thing to do.
No, I know that the Timu Obama thing's been a meme for a while, but like he is just like, it's pathetic how much he is trying to. It's bad.
Simultaneously, of course, preparing.
Like he's going overboard to try to mimic not only just his speech, but his body, his mannerisms, and all of that. I mean, word is that Jeffries is actually so committed to wanting to duplicate the Barack Obama experience. He is currently looking for a 6'5" black man to also marry. So that's how committed he is. And I got to say, I appreciate the commitment. I respect the commitment. He's also looking for a 6'5" black man to marry. Respect for being completely committed to the gimmick. So I got to give him some credit there, okay? I got to give him a little bit of credit. John Jones says Mike Johnson considers Elon a friend, but refuses to bring Doge cuts to the floor. Fucking weasel. Yeah, I don't like Mike Johnson. Aaron James says Rand may be good intentions, but is ineffective. Pippi says maybe Elon is trying to some reverse psychology since Dems hate him so much. I don't know, man. I don't know what the play is here. I would love to give you guys like an actual like thought on that, because I tend to try to give you some. I don't know. I don't know what Elon's play is here. I really don't. I don't know what his play is. I'm not sure where he's going with it. But I guess we're going to have to see. I think that this is going to be a huge talking point for several days now. By the way, last thing we're going to talk about here is, do you guys remember that OnlyFans chick, Nala, that made like millions and millions of dollars on OnlyFans? She went mega viral for from the Whatever podcast, and then she went full like born again Christian. Right on cue, conservatives are now bringing her to a Turning Point USA event. They're now letting Nala Ray speak at a Turning Point USA event. What? God. If you guys don't remember, I mean, this girl went mega viral. Like, she was everywhere on OnlyFans. Everywhere. She was a huge name. She made so much money. She was legitimately just a porn star. This girl right here, if you don't remember, this is one of the clips that went mega viral of her. This one, she was mega viral, and she made millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. So I think she was the #1 chick on OnlyFans. And then after she made her millions, she suddenly found the Lord. It's interesting how that worked out. So after she slutted her way to tens of millions of dollars, she suddenly found the Lord. And I never believed it whatsoever. The Daily Wire, Michael Knowles had her on a couple of podcasts. And, I just don't believe it. But now she's going to be a speaker at Turning Point USA. I don't buy it. But hey, more power to her. If she's continuing the grift, more power to her. You know what I mean? More power to her. So I just thought that was really interesting. Charlie Kirk says Islam isn't compatible with Western values, but porn stars apparently are. I mean, look, man, my problem isn't that they're allowing her. My problem is that they disallow other people for random shit. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, Charlie Kirk won't allow, and I just want to be clear. I'm not a Groiper. I'm not a Nick Fuentes fan. I'm not negative towards Nick Fuentes. All I'm saying is you won't allow Nick Fuentes there, but you'll allow Nala fucking Ray there. I'm just saying. Make it make sense, okay? Make it make sense. Gerald Armstrong says Amber Rose was at the RNC. Yes, absolutely. And she's been a big Trump supporter. My problem is not, I'll be honest, I didn't know who Amber Rose was. I had no idea. Was Amber Rose a porn star? I honestly don't know. Was Amber Rose a porn star? I don't even know if she was. I'm waiting for somebody in the chat to tell me. Jeremy Prime should speak at Turning Point? No. Basically, yes. She dated Kanye. I mean, that's an interesting way to answer it. You can't say basically yes, but then kinda. I don't know what that means. So, she was a stripper. Okay. I did think it was funny because doesn't Amber Rose have like a tattoo on her forehead or something like that? Is that the same girl? She has like a tattoo on her forehead or her neck or something like that. Jeremy could talk about his retail days. That is true. I would never want to go speak at Turning Point USA. I would never want to go speak at any of these conventions or anything like that. Again, I've said many times, I have zero interest in being part of the machine that is the Republicans or the conservative movement. I have zero interest in doing that. I want to remain an independent voice that can say whatever I want and do whatever I want and talk about whatever I want. I don't care to have talking points. I don't care to be in the good graces of any of these people or anything like that. If there are opportunities, if there were business opportunities, I would absolutely hear those out. But any business opportunity that I am faced with, I have to have creative control of anything that happens. So if you want to bankroll me, that's fine, but you have no authority to tell me what to say and what to do. My vision is what's gotten Geeks and Gamers this far, and I will continue to move forward with that vision, but nobody will be able to actually tell me what to do. But if you have some type of, business opportunity, that's fine. But I don't want to be involved in any of these fucking places. I just don't. Let's see here. FaZe Mazda says, Turning Point USA denied a porn star, but Nala is okay for kids. Did TP USA deny a porn star? Was it the Amber Rose girl? I have no idea if she is. But either way, we're going to leave it there. Tuesday night's main event tonight on the Geeks and Gamers main channel. So be on the lookout for that. If any big news happens, I will consider doing another CobraCast tonight after main event, but we'll just have to see, and we'll have to see how long main event goes. Brandy Love. That's right. Brandy Love. Should I sit here and pretend that I don't know who Brandy Love is? Should I pretend that I don't know who Brandy Love is? I'm just gonna pretend I don't know who Brandy Love is. Wink, wink. Yeah, I have no idea. Never seen a Brandy Love video in my life. Never seen one. All right, we're gonna leave it there. You guys have a great day. I'll keep an eye on everything going on with social media, with Elon Musk, with the big beautiful bill, and President Trump. Make sure you subscribe to D-Day Cobra 2. That channel's doing really good, man. I'm really happy with that channel. So, and I'll see you guys later tonight for a little bit of Tuesday night's main event, and I'll give you guys an outro. You guys have been telling me I haven't been playing the outro a lot lately, so I'll give you the outro. Have a good day. We'll talk to all of you later. Bye, everyone.